Good day and welcome to Coffee Chat. I'm Ken Waddell, publisher of the Neepawa Banner and Press, and sitting in today for Jim Colburn, who wasn't able to be with us on the show. Hope Jim can come back real soon to do the interviews from this chair, as he's been doing lately, and we really appreciate the work he does. Today I have with me Brent Sorenson, who is the president chairman of Beautiful Lanes Community Foundation, and Brenda Kryschuk, who's the executive director. I'm going to go right straight to you, Brenda, and give some of the very early history. You're looking at 25 years this year, but foundation got seeded, so to speak, a year or two ahead of that. So tell us some of the early days.
So in 1993, Susan Drayson and Marlene Saiteki went and traveled to Winnipeg to meet with 10 other communities as well as the Thomas Sill Foundation to discuss the opportunities of having 10 communities begin community foundations within their community. And then there was a period of time where they came back and they got a group together and they started building constitutions. That happened in 1994, getting bylaws and policies, and then pulling together a charity number and all that important stuff that's required for a registered charity. And then in 1995, we celebrated the first town hall, which I think you would like to discuss because you were part of that.
Well, yes, but even a little before that, because Susan Drayson went to the town council to make a proposal to the council, and that was back in the day when I was the reporter at the council meetings. And I remember Susan being there, and I remember some of the details of what she said, and I thought, I've never heard of this idea before, and I really hadn't. I wasn't familiar with the Thomas Sill Foundation or the Winnipeg Foundation, and the whole idea of a community foundation was new to a lot of people, and hence there was a lot of explaining to do. But it wasn't long before we got involved in the Neepawa Banner because we wanted to be supportive of the foundation, and it's been a great thing for the community since then. So Brent, how long have you been involved?
This is my fourth year on the board, serving year 4. First year as president, just took over here in September. 2 years remaining on my time after this year, so you can do 6 years on the board. To this point, it's been a great experience, and I would really encourage anybody to take their turn on the board. It's amazing the good that you can do through the community foundation. We've given out over 2.8 million since we started back in 1995. So we've granted out that much to our community. Some of that in designated funds, some in scholarships, and then some through our general endowment fund as well. So it certainly is a foundation and an entity that can touch a lot of people and provide a lot of money to the community.
So you've been on the board now for 4 years, and you have 2 more years in your term because they're 6-year terms, correct?
Yes.
And the process of getting on the board, is it the same as it's always been? I know I was twice mayor of Neepawa, and therefore was designated each year of those terms to be the chair of the selection committee, where they got together representatives from the municipalities and put forward names. That's still the process?
We've sort of changed that up because there was a time where that didn't work maybe as successfully as we hoped.
Well, that's when you got Brent. Oh, sorry.
You know what? No. I think it was that the challenge is that it's hard for a mayor and council to come up with names of people sometimes within their areas. So we have tasked the board, and usually if it's a representative from the RM of Langford, Rosedale, Lansdowne, if we're losing that representative, we task them to find some suitable recommendations from their area. Yeah, we had to change. It just was easier for the board to sort of take on that responsibility.
Fair enough. Yeah, so represented in here now there is Rosedale, correct?
Yeah.
Yes.
Langford, or the Langford portion of North Cyprus, plus Brookdale, right?
Yeah.
Brookdale's
Yes.
kind of included
Yeah.
in,
Yes, correct.
even though it always was in the North Cyprus designation. Town of Neepawa,
Yes.
Glenella Lansdowne, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. and Rosedale.
Basically the NADCO area, really, right?
Yeah, that's yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
With the amalgamation of the North Cyprus, Langford, it sort of always makes it sort of complicated for us to explain our link to Langford.
Yeah.
But we've kind of made that connection that we're still responsible for that area.
I think everybody recognizes the Langford area
Yeah.
as for what it is and what it was historically too. So, plus there were the Brookdale portion because of the tie-in.
Yeah.
They kind of go both ways, Carberry, Neepawa, both ways. But a lot of people who call Brookdale home actually, as an address, will be in the old Langford area, of course. So that's interesting. So the board meets once a month or so?
Monthly.
Yeah.
With the exception of
July and August. We take the summer months off, but we do meet monthly otherwise. Very quick meetings, generally an hour and 20 minutes, we're done. And a lot of that is attributable to Brenda. She keeps us in line very well, so I do have to say that. But yeah, generally it's a fairly not overly cumbersome on the volunteers that are on the board. Like I say, we have one board meeting. This year we haven't had as many events as we had wanted to. Being our 25th, we had anticipated, or I guess we're planning a number of events that we're going to celebrate that, but due to COVID, we've had to eliminate the majority of those.
Which is unfortunate.
Every organization's
Yes,
in the same
yeah,
place, right?
yeah.
We're far from alone in that. So
Yeah.
So your board meetings, you still hold them in the office?
Yeah.
yes.
And what's the status of the office there? Refresh me on that. The foundation owns that building now?
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
It was gifted to us from the RHA,
Okay.
right? And
So it was part of the old Eastview property, sort of, at one time?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I mean, initially that office was shared by the foundation, some of the RHA staff, and Porphyria used to be in there before
Right.
they moved the office, right? And then shortly over time, there was only us left,
We've kind of
and we
become
were
the-
and the RHA was very kind to gift it to the foundation, which is
Okay.
fantastic. Yeah.
Well, that sort of makes sense because, truth be known, the town gave the whole Eastview property to the RHA. So back in the day, in the mid '90s, that was how that worked. Because the RHA, or pardon me, the Eastview Lodge and the hospital were both owned by the community back in the day. They used to be run by municipal boards, and then separate municipal boards actually at one time, and then a joint municipal board to run the health services in Neepawa at that time, and then under regionalization it was all turned over to the RHA. So they got a good deal. They gave you back a little bit. They got quite a big chunk of property in return.
I mean, the space has worked fabulous for our foundation in the fact that we have a location for ourselves, and the cost to maintain that space is not significant,
Yeah.
right? Which is fortunate for our organization because many other community foundations don't have the privilege of having an office space.
And having a retail or storefront presence certainly has its advantages.
Oh, for
People
sure.
drive by. It's a place where you can keep everything all in one place. You don't have a bunch of people running around with suitcases or file boxes. It's
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
all in one place. Eh?
It is, and it's even nice when people are donating. We've got an address that, hey, if you're dropping your donation off, come here. These are the days we're open. So it's nice to have that physical location, and we're not trying to make arrangements all the time with prospective donors to complete their donations. So it is very nice to be able to have that and yeah, have that office space that we can work out of.
So the address is officially
487 Walker Avenue.
4087 Walker, and you're not always in the office. You're not there every day.
My goal is Mondays and Tuesdays, and a little bit of Wednesday.
Right. Which we-
We'll see. But it's sort of, yeah, it's COVID changed everything as I moved my office out, and I've returned back now. And yeah, so Monday, Tuesdays, and a portion of Wednesdays. We have a cell phone for the foundation, so generally I have a phone with me and answer it most of the times.
Yeah, because any time that I've needed to phone you, you've always answered. So
Yeah.
you carry your phone with you, so whether you're at the office or not. You're
Yes.
still on the job, so to speak. Eh?
Kinda.
Yeah.
Yes.
If I have my grandchildren, I don't answer the phone.
Well, maybe you should have them answer. Maybe you get
That would be great. Yes.
might get more
Maybe
donations.
I was
More
gonna say,
donations.
yeah.
That's always a possibility.
Anyway, so okay, so that's the history and the address and the basis and everything. Do you want to give out the phone number on the show here?
Yeah, sure. It's 204-476-2681.
2681. So that's good. And Brenda will answer you any questions, or obviously if you have donations that you wish to leave with the foundation, they would be happy to receive that. One little bit more, a bit of history is, I think I know the answer to this, but is the Sayward donation that's administered by the foundation too? Is that correct?
The hospital fund, yeah. We've
hospital fund.
yeah, and it was originally a large donation by Mr. Sayward, right? Yes, it is administered and managed by the foundation, but still the town of Neepawa and the RMs meet to I guess vote on how the funds are distributed based upon suggestions by the staff at the hospital.
At the hospital. So it seems every town has a benefactor, or every region has a benefactor, because I know there's some major benefactors in the Russell area, for example, and Bertle and whatever I've read about in the papers. But the Sayward estate, Mr. Sayward farmed between here and Carberry for many, many years, as did his parents. And because of his experience that he had and his mother had with the hospital and with the Eastview Lodge care home, he bequeathed nearly $1 million, or around $1 million, to the hospital, which is now administered, as Brenda says, by the foundation. So if the foundation had not been there, it's quite possible that the wishes of somebody like Mr. Sayward might not have been able to be fulfilled. And so that, I think, speaks volumes to the value of having a foundation that's trusted, and people can, whether it's $5 or $1 million, that it can be put into use for the future of the community. And so I think that's a thing good that happened.
What's interesting about that, so that money I think was invested, and don't quote me on the year completely, but I think around 1997, 1998, and that fund has contributed over $800,000 back to the hospital. So if you would have given that $1 million away and just spent it, it would have been $1 million spent. But what has happened now, that $1 million has given out $800,000, and about annually we give them almost $50,000 towards the hospital every year. So there will be a point where that initial donation to the endowment fund will be exceeded by the grant dollars that have been given out, which is exciting, right? So
Yes.
it means that money will be there forever for the hospital to receive.
Yeah, in perpetuity is a long time.
Yeah. And we say never spent, because that is a tough word for people to understand. Yeah.
Good. So you talked about this year being the 25th anniversary, and you had a bunch of things planned, but let's talk a little bit about the Giving Challenge, and you're looking at a week being designated and this sort of thing. Tell us some of that stuff.
Yes. Historically, I'm not even sure when it started. The Winnipeg Foundation and Endow Manitoba started a 24-hour giving challenge that had been run for a number of years. And in that, every year, it would always be middle of November, usually a Saturday in the middle of November. For every dollar that we generated, they would provide us with 20 cents from each of those found organizations, up to a maximum of $10,000 that we could collect. So they would, if we collected 10, they would pay us $2,000 each. And this year, due to COVID and then some changes that they were looking at anyhow, they have actually taken that 24-hour giving challenge and made it into a giving week. So that will happen from November 9th to the 15th is the week that happens. So any donations completed during that week qualify to get us an additional $4,000, $2,000 from Endow Manitoba and $2,000 from the Winnipeg Foundation.
So there will be an ad in this Friday's Neepawa Banner and Press, and it'll look like this. So it's scheduled as we speak to go on the back page. I don't think it's going to shift because as we're taping now, we're going to go to print in just a little over an hour. So I don't think there's going to be many changes. But yes, Giving Challenge, November 9th to 15th. For every $5 donated, it becomes $7 with the support of the Winnipeg Foundation and the Manitoba government as well. So,
Yes.
yeah, which is you're referring to, and that's up to a max of 10,000 still this year.
10,000 for us, so that's $4,000 contributed between the two of them, 2,000 from each of them. So,
Okay.
And this is obviously it's a big week for us. We don't want to just stop at 10.
Yes.
Last year, with matching donations, we raised $51,000 in that 24-hour. So it was a huge day last year, and I hope that it'll be a huge week this year.
It is from a fund generating standpoint our biggest day of the year, biggest week of the year to grow our endowment funds. And it's all into the community fund, the majority of that money. Some of it goes into some of the designated funds that we maintain, but for the most part it's the community fund, which then is money that we grant out based on our grant applications to any nonprofit organization within our trading area that applies for a grant and is chosen by a grant committee that sits on the board.
Well, also in your report that's going to appear in print this week, you're talking about the double your donation. That's a little different thing, right? Is it, or is it tied in there?
Yeah, that's a little different.
That is. The Community Foundation over the past number of years has held a number of fundraising events.
Okay.
The RCMP Gala in 2019, jail and bail events, different things like that we've raised funds kind of as we designate them as special events. And we've accumulated quite a surplus within that account. And so we've decided that we were going to invest $50,000 as a foundation back into the endowment funds for the community. And so in thinking of that, we were just going to put it in. Then we decided to come up with, for every dollar that is donated between now and the end of the fiscal year this year, we will match that donation dollar for dollar up to the $50,000 that we're putting into our endowment funds. And so that isn't limited to any one fund. That can go into any of the open funds that accept donations. So there's the endowment fund, there's the hospital funds, care home, different things like that. There's a number of scholarship funds that are open that accept donations as well. So anybody that makes a donation into any one of those funds, if you make a $100 donation, we're going to put in $100 into that as well until we've spent our $50,000 that we're going to invest into the endowment funds. So,
And this is funds from individuals or businesses or
It
whatever?
doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't matter where those funds come from. It can be from anybody that makes a donation to the community foundation.
Yes.
Whether it's, like I say, our general endowment fund or any of the designated funds that we have that are open to receiving outside donations aside from specific family members or entities that have set up closed funds with us as well.
Because then I know one of the supporting companies this year is, and I think it's been in the past as well, but Neepawa Gladstone Co-op donating the proceeds from their Feel Good Day, $2,697 and change is going to go into this. So that's impressive from that company, and there's other companies I'm sure are doing the same. And also there's a little, I think, Neepawa Farmers no longer in existence, so
Yeah.
they set up a little fund with the money I guess they had left over.
Yeah.
And it's going to go to the Neepawa Baseball Softball Association for maintaining the ball diamonds to help with that.
So, and that is an open fund as well. So if someone has an interest in baseball, they can contribute to that and the foundation will match those dollars. But that's just a new fund that was established just at the end of 2019.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is it appropriate to ask how much is in that fund now, or your watch
sorry.
is ringing?
I didn't shut it off. I thought I had hit the right button. I can't tell you how much is in it.
Okay.
I think they made a donation. It's maybe just a little over $5,000.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
And that's an endowment fund, so the interest will be used off of that?
Yeah, it's every fund invested with the community
Yep.
foundation is an endowment fund. Yeah.
Yeah, so
We do have a few what we call them a flow-through grant, but that's a totally different topic. But
Yeah.
yeah.
There's quite a bit of other information in the ad today, and there's lots of information there for you to peruse. Just a bit of a shout out to the current board. As we heard earlier, Brent is the president. Vice president is Keith Jury. The treasurer is Ian Thompson of Kinley Thompson Accountants. Ann Kaharski, Karen McDonald, Ashley McCon, Marilyn Crew, Mark Morehouse, Jack Falk, Brad Walker, and Jeff Miner. And I know from personal experience that you don't want to be hit up by Jack Falk because you will not be allowed to say no. Anyway, Jack is semi-retired now, but I get quite a kick out of him because he takes his role with the foundation very seriously, and brings all his charm and brilliance to the scene.
Yes.
And he'll be surprised at me saying those words in the same sentence as him.
He's a very strong supporter, believes in the foundation, and we're extremely fortunate to have him on the board.
Yeah,
Yes.
no,
Yeah.
he's a good man to have on your side.
Yeah.
So we talked about some of the events were canceled, but is there some events you're still going to try and have this year, or are you going to put it off till next year?
we are still doing, and if anybody has followed along in the Neepawa Banner and Press and the Foundation Facebook page, you would have seen our 25 Days of Giving draws.
Right.
That
yes.
we have completed. That was an initiative, again, kind of from our surplus funds in celebration of our 25th anniversary. We're giving away $25,000. No grant applications required, which is something that is not normal for the foundation. And we're doing that over 25 draws. To date, we've done 22 out of those 25 draws. There's 3 left. And I think
the big one's still in there.
The big one is still available.
How much is it?
The top one is $5,000.
It's still in the pot.
There's still a
still in the pot.
$5,000 draw
Oh,
left.
wow.
And we didn't tape it to the bottom, I swear.
I heard you say that the other day. I was thinking that's unique. That'd be one way of doing. Okay, so it's still in there. Hasn't come to the surface yet.
No.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
No, and I swear probably we're all going to jump up and down and scream and lose our composure when it finally does get drawn.
So people applied, or organizations applied.
Well, there was an organization registrational form. So what we wanted
Yes.
from all the nonprofit organizations in our community was to fill out a form so that we had information about you, so that once the foundation had some information to share, that we had some contact information. So you filled out this form and your name was put into the 25 Days of Giving draw.
And I think, if memory serves me correct, we had 67 or 68
Yeah.
organizations register.
Okay.
So there's going to be a number of organizations. Unfortunately, we can't help everyone, but
Yeah.
there was,
Yeah.
67 or 68 from our community registered, and to date we've given out done 22 draws, and given out 18,750 out of the 25,000.
Yeah.
So there's 3 draws left. That will be completed as part of BPCF, the Giving Challenge Week, coming up the 9th to the 15th. So we'll do one on the 9th, and then we'll figure out the last 2. But do pay attention to the Foundation Facebook page. On the night of November 9th, there will be another winner announced that night, and then we'll announce the next draw date at that time, but likely either the 13th or 14th.
While Brent was rolling those figures off his tongue so glibly there, viewers may have noticed I'm rolling my eyes here. He happens to be my banker, so I knew there wasn't the chances of anything happening anyway, but after he rolls those figures off, really, I'm not going to get anything past this guy. He probably remembers how much I was overdrawn 6 years ago or something.
Not quite that good.
Okay, whatever.
But what's really exciting is the impact of those recipients that have already received the money from the draw, especially during the COVID, where many of those nonprofit organizations have not had the ability to fundraise or do the activities that they could to maintain their operations. They're getting a windfall of anywhere between we've given out 500 to, I think 2,000 was our maximum.
2,500 so far.
25,
taken
yeah.
on,
So it's pretty exciting. And as a board, when we've had to say no to lots of the things that we were planning to do, it's really nice to get a very positive response from the recipients of the draws about how it's impacted their organization.
Well, I don't want to put you on the spot, but is there one or two good news stories out of these grants that you can relate?
Like there's been a lot. Just recently, Burroughs Trail Art Council, they received $500, and they're going to be doing some computer upgrades and doing a few things that they've needed to do at the office that they wouldn't have had the opportunity.
Who was that, I'm sorry?
Burroughs Trail Art Council.
Oh yes, Burroughs Trail Art Council, right, yes.
The Lions Club received money, and I think it was $500, right? Correct me if I'm wrong.
I do believe that's what they received,
$500,
yes.
and it's going to help pay for one of the scholarships that that they give out, and so it's really exciting to get. And Polonia received money, Community
Yes,
Hall,
yes.
and we got a great thank you note from their organization about how it was such a pleasant surprise to have that money, because they do an amazing dinner there once a month or every second month to raise money for their community
Oh yeah,
hall.
trust me, they do great dinners, yes.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, so it's just been really a very positive thing. The Arden ladies won $2,500. They were our first draw, and they bought bingo equipment, a laptop and stuff to do the bingos within their hall, and a few other things. So I mean, it's really, I kind of call it a bit of mad money, but it's always fun to get something that you haven't had to allocate to a specific thing. So
Those are
for
good.
us, it's been a silver lining just to have something positive and to those organizations as well.
So we're nearing the end of our program. You wondered how we were going to fill half an hour, but we've come pretty close.
Yeah.
If either of you have something that you want to add that we've missed out on, and then I'll make sure that we talk about this before we're done, about the Giving Challenge, before we wrap up. So, Brent, anything?
I think the one thing, I'm not sure if we touched on it yet, the week of November 9th to the 15th has also been designated by the town of Neepawa this year as BPCF week,
Okay.
coinciding with our 25th anniversary. So we're excited for that. So we are trying to incorporate all of that into everything we're doing that week with the Giving Challenge as BPCF week. Like I say, we're going to have 3 draws, the final 3 draws in the 25 Days of Giving Challenge as well, or draws there. So that's kind of what the one thing that comes to my mind. I don't know.
I just have one thing.
What's that?
The success of the foundation is only made by the donors and the people who support the Beautiful Plains Community Foundation annually.
Yeah.
And through not just money, volunteering, time,
Right.
services. It's the success of the foundation is really because of the community people who support us, and we can't thank them enough.
So from a very almost obscure beginning 26 years ago, and an official beginning 25 years ago, it has grown into something quite wonderful for the community, has it not? It's
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. We
I
hold
always tell,
just
yeah.
under $4 million in our endowment funds right now that we're granting money out off of every year. So
yeah.
the impact has been tremendous.
Yeah.
So
I always ask people to go down the streets of their community and wonder, if you took out $2.4 million, what would your community look like?
Yeah. Yeah. Great story. So thank you, Brenda and Brent, for being with me today on the Coffee Chat. I'm Ken Waddell, publisher of the Neepawa Banner and Press. Be sure to remember the Giving Challenge, November 9th to 15th this year. And you can phone the foundation again at 476
2681.
2681. So thank you very much for being with us to hear a really good news story for the Neepawa region. So thank you for being with us. I'm Ken Waddell.